Hello and welcome, you lovely plain sexual people. Today I thought I'd do a quick video on the equipment that I use and give you a quick insight into how I go about it. So let's go!
Chemical arms lights.
So the main camera that I use, most of you probably have guessed, is a GoPro. The one that I have is the GoPro Hero 3 Plus. Obviously not the newest model anymore. It's about 4 years old now, but it's still doing what I want it to do. So here is my GoPro. As you can see, it's quite black with a couple of scratches. That's because I may or may not have used a Sharpie to blacken my GoPro, which used to be silver. The reason why I did that was because I kept getting reflections in the window because of the silver color of the GoPro. Last year I thought, well, let's take a Sharpie and see how it goes, and ever since then I don't really get these anymore. Now it's up to you if you want to take your GoPro, which you paid hundreds of pounds or dollars or euro for, and just draw on it with a Sharpie. I thought, why not, let's go ahead. And it actually worked. And if worse comes to worse, you can, as you can see, there's lots of scratches on it. You can just scratch the black paint off. Another way to get around the reflections in the window, an easier way than actually taking a Sharpie and drawing on your GoPro, is to actually pick a seat strategically and book a seat that's on the other side of where the sun's going to be. If you're taking, for example, a morning flight and flying south, you'll take a seat on the right hand side of the plane because the sun, as we know, rises in the east. That way you don't get the full blast of the sun rising and all you then end up seeing is glare in your video. So that's one easy way of avoiding reflections of the camera and also all that glare. So to go with the GoPro, I've got a set of 4 micro SD cards and 4 batteries. I've got a wee system going there. So I've got all my batteries numbered 1 through to 4. So that's battery 2 and battery 4. And I've got the same thing with my micro SD cards. There's 4 of them and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So the reason why I do that is so that I know that when I use a battery and an SD card, I know that the battery is fully charged and the SD card is empty. And that was just a text. So popular. By numbering the batteries and the SD cards, I know that when I use battery number 1 with SD card number 1, I know that the battery is fully charged and the SD card is empty. And I go about charging them and transferring the files onto my laptop in a sequential order. So I always do battery 1, SD card 1, and then that's full, or well, SD card is full or the battery is empty. More likely the battery being empty, I can then go to battery 2 and SD card 2 while I put SD card 1 and battery 1 into the charger and charge it up. So it's all in sequential and keeps everything in order. I hope that makes sense. So basically, I say basically a lot, batteries that I've got last 2.5 hours. And it's been pretty much bang on all this time. So when I start recording, I make a wee note of when I start and set a reminder for 2.5 hours. So after 2.5 hours, I can then change the battery and the SD card. The GoPro does make a beep 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 noise when battery runs out. However, when you're on the plane, with headphones on and watching a movie, you don't always hear that. So it's good having a wee alarm that goes off. That allows me to film continuously without losing too much time in between. So as I said, it's 2.5 hours per battery charge. So that means on a flight from the UK to the US East Coast, I have to change battery and SD card twice. One question that always comes up is, how do I get the GoPro to stick on the window? And for that, I use a suction cup. So the one that I use is the Joby Suction Cup with a locking arm, and it's really easy to use. You just stick it to the window, twist this red bit here, and bop's your uncle. And for those of you who live in Scotland or have lived in Scotland, yes, it is a Joby Suction Cup. The eagle eyes of you will have noticed that I always have the GoPro hanging downwards. I just started doing that with my previous suction cup because it kept falling down the first couple of times I used it with the camera pointing upwards. and then just tried, you know, playing around with it, and ended up with the formation, where it just, you know, is pointing downwards. And I'm not very good at physics, but I guess it's got something to do with weight distribution. To attach the GoPro to the suction cup, I use this wee skeleton cover. So it provides easy access to the battery and the SD card, which is very handy when you have to change them quickly. And the camera fits in quite easily. We've got this lever which is in the open position. We just slot the camera in and close that. And as you can see, it's easy to get to the battery as well as the SD card on the side. And then all you have to do is take your GoPro and slot it in, use the magic screw. This is how I then would stick it on to the window. Obviously on the GoPro itself, I would use the upside down filming setting, which is my standard setting on the GoPro now. So the GoPro is for all the external shots that you see. The internal shots, walking around airport, boarding, and also the shots on the plane and of all the food, I use my Sony HX-60. And here is the camera. Very, that's my oily fingers. It's a lovely wee camera. So the great thing about the Sony camera is the 30x zoom, which comes in very handy when you're taking videos of planes landing and taking off. All those close-up shots you can see in my videos are done with this camera. The other great thing about the Sony camera is the internal image stabilizer, which means that the images aren't as shaky as they would be otherwise. Obviously, it's not as good as a gimbal, how do you even say that? I'm foreign, I don't know. But I find that, you know, using one of those, it just sticks out like a sore thumb, and it's more likely people ask questions. I get told off quite a lot, well not a lot, but I've, you know, on several occasions been told off at airports for actually filming inside the terminal. So it's a lot easier having just a wee camera. It's a little bit more inconspicuous. So I use this camera for walking around the airport, boarding, internal shots on the plane. But for the leviator shots, I use my iPhone. I've got the iPhone 6 with a lovely yellow bumper and the ring, which is very handy. But the reason why I use this for the leviator shots is, again, it's a bit more inconspicuous for when you go through toilet. You don't really want to be seen walking the toilet with a digital camera, because that might raise a couple of eyebrows. Yeah, the iPhone fits nicely in the pocket. Nobody sees that you've got it when you go to the loo. Just make sure that, you know, when you do that, just wash your hands afterwards or before. Afterwards, both. Stay clean. Basically, the three cameras that I use, I've got the GoPro, the Sony, and my iPhone. And last but not least, a lot of you guys asked me about what software I use for editing the videos. I just used iMovie, which is free of charge with any Apple device. It's been working pretty well so far. So yeah, thanks for watching. If you've got any questions, comments, just leave them below, or connect with me on Twitter or on Facebook. Get in touch anyway. Looking forward to hearing more from you guys. Any suggestions, tips, requests. So thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll find something else to blather about in the near future. Thanks, and happy landings.